Most first-time SaaS founders make this mistake that causes their launch to be a flop. In this video, I'm going to teach you what beginner first-time founders get wrong about their product launches and how you can avoid that mistake so you can start operating like the pros and get it right first time round. Beginners focus all of their energy and all of their efforts on building the MVP. That's where their budget goes, that's where their time goes, that's where they spend all of their money, because they think if they just build a better product, it will do all of the selling and marketing for them. However, that's not how successful pros in the SaaS space actually launch products. They learn a painful lesson from the first time they make that mistake and they never make it again. Pros focus all of their effort on building the early adopters, getting pre-sales, because they understand without paying customers, there's no point launching a product, okay? So how do you avoid this mistake? To create a successful launch, we need you to pre-sell your product before it is built. It is possible. You can get your first paying customers for your product, for your SaaS product, before a single line of code is written. We do it here all of the time at Minimal Viable Launch. And this is how you do it. You use waitlist, early adopter communities, and discussion groups that allow you to start engaging with your early adopters, get signups, get indications of interest, start collecting data about your early adopters so that you can raise money, make sales, and launch with confidence. In the last 6 months, I've helped over 13 founders put more than 2,000 people into their early adopter communities. We have gone all in on this method of launching products here at the Minimal Viable Launch. When I was writing the book, I understood what I'd been doing subconsciously all of the time in the products that I was working on and helping to launch. We now have a conscious process which makes sure that we get the first early adopters, we get the first paying customers before that single line of code has been written, time and time again, and it works like a charm. If I'm going to teach you how to get your first paying customers, how to avoid this mistake that 99% of beginner SaaS founders make, I need to tell you 3 things. I need to tell you what pre-sales are. I need to tell you how you're going to collect those early adopters. And I'm going to need to tell you how to find your first paying customers. And then we're going to do all of that in this video today. Okay, so let's dive in. What are pre-sales? This chart here is from a book called Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution by Yuri Levine, multi-time unicorn startup founder, someone who's really worth listening to in this space, okay? And what he says in here is that most SaaS founders think this is going to be really easy and launch with incredible amounts of confidence and excitement, and then they enter something called the desert of no traction. And the desert of no traction is an incredibly painful place to be. The desert of no traction is after your initial launch enthusiasm, you realize you haven't built a product that quite works. You don't know how to sell it. You don't know how to communicate it to people who would get excited about it. Sometimes if you really mess the launch up, you don't even know who your ideal customer is for this product and you're on that journey. So you enter this desert of no traction. It's lonely. It's expensive. The bills keep coming out. The runway is collapsing around you. It feels like there is no possible hope for survival in this desert. You need customers. You need sales, and it is proving impossible to get them. And then, hopefully, if you survive the desert of no traction for long enough, you enter these valleys of maybes, okay? Where you start to see little glimmers of hope. Something kind of works, then it doesn't. Then you have a new idea. You find a bigger problem. You start to be able to communicate it to people. They start making sales for you. They start telling their friends, families, colleagues, and doing those sales for you. That's when you start to hit product market fit. And then you enter this scaling phase of the journey, okay? Most founders think that's going to take them under 12 months to do. The data that I've seen and all the research I've done and the products that I've worked on has seen that actually, on average, for first-time founders, it takes them 16 to 24 months to find product market fit. And that is because they don't know how to generate pre-sales. If they avoided that number one mistake, if they avoided the thing that causes them to scramble like mad in the desert of no traction once they launch, they would find product market fit way quicker than 12 months because you would have it in its smallest glimmers before you even launch your product, okay? The reason that the desert of no traction is so deadly, the reason that first-time founders have such a painful time and such a high failure rate in the SaaS space, we're talking about a 90% plus failure rate, is this launch sequence here. People have an idea, they spend a long time designing it, creating a brand, naming it, buying the domains, paying a designer to make it look pretty for them, right? Then they build it, they spend as much money as they can on the MVP, add as many features in as they possibly can because they don't really know what their customers want. They're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. They think if they just build a really good product, people will come and discover them and what they're doing and buy it from them and tell everyone. So then they launch it. And that is when they then try to sell it for the first time. And this is when I get the most panicked messages from people who watch the videos on this channel, who look at my LinkedIn content and who have worked with us. They say, Lee, we've launched our product. We've spent all of our money. We're going to go out of business and we cannot seem to sell it. Okay. And we have to go on this really painful journey to pick apart the product and learn about their customers and make their first sales for them. We've talked before on this channel about the 7-figure launch sequence. Okay. This is something that I learned from Daniel Priestley. And the way that he launches products is what I've learned from launching products myself and seeing what's successful. It's what we now do in the minimal viable launch when we help founders just like you actually get their products off of the ground, right? We have the idea. We spend some time designing just enough to be able to show people that idea, communicate the idea and get them excited by it. Then we try to sell it. Then we make the wait list. Then we make the discussion groups. Then we make the early adopter communities, which we're going to dive into in a second. And we see if we can actually get this idea to be exciting enough that people are interested in raising their hand and saying, hey, I would like to actually hear more about this product. It seems like something I'd like to buy. And only if we do that, only if we get the successful sales, do we move into the build and launch phases, okay? Build and launch is really easy once you have your early adopter community ready and waiting for you. And it is why pro SaaS founders will not launch anything unless they can do that, okay? So that is what pre-sales are. It is gathering early adopters and people who want to buy your stuff. How do you go and collect these early adopters, right? We just need a simple way for you to collect a signal of interest from those customers. They just need to be able to raise their hand to you and say, hey, this is something I'm interested in. Give you a way to get back in contact with them, an email address, a phone number, or joining a group. Okay, so we're trying to keep this really simple because remember, we're not trying to spend all of our money on building an early adopter community. We're trying to hack something together to move fast as we possibly can, get validation, get sales so that we can make a go, no go decision on whether we actually build this thing or not. Okay. So we've seen there's basically 4 ways to build these, and you will have heard of these before. There may be other more unique circumstances for more complex SaaS ideas, but generally, when we're talking about launching B2B or B2C SaaS products, there is 4 ways to build these products, okay? So your options are these. You have your early adopter communities, you have your wait lists, you have your discussion groups, and you have landing page signups plus ads. That is probably the one that most of you are most familiar with, okay? So the early adopter communities, I have seen some people do this wildly successful. Someone that we've worked with here has been building a ADHD productivity app. He has over 600 people in his Discord community talking about ADHD and productivity, sharing with them early screens, iterating on the designs based on their feedback. And when they launched their product on the App Store, they had over 600 people clamoring to become an early adopter of that product and start paying them for what they've done, okay? So early adopter community are when you've shown someone the problem and you have a space that people can start to discuss that problem a little bit more in depth. So Discord, Reddit, Slack, School, Mighty Networks, and any other place that you can put people in and allow them to communicate with each other, and you can communicate your idea back to them. Waitlist, this is our personal favorite one because it is the fastest to launch, it takes the least amount of effort, and it can be scaled the most easily. you can build a wait list, which is just a way to take a name, first name, last name, email address, and importantly, gather some data on those early adopters, okay? So we can build those in half a day with something like Score App with all of the logic built in. You can use Typeform, Google Forms, or any other form builder that you are comfortable with and that you know. The important thing is that you get something built that clearly communicates your vision. We like Score App because it gives you the ability to build a landing page where you can put some product shots and poke some painful problems. And then you can ask them questions about those problems, gather data, which you can add into your pitch deck, which we'll talk about in a second as well. And then once they're on the wait list, you can recontact them when you're ready with your MVP to become an early adopter. The discussion groups are great if you're looking for validation on if this problem is something people are searching for answers on. Okay, so someone I know has recently launched a discussion group on Facebook. They're building products to help virtual assistants get off the ground, get their first customers and scale their businesses. And they started a Facebook group to discuss starting a VA business, document their journey. They've had over 500 people join that group. They have people clamoring for all of the products that they're releasing. They're looking at building a SaaS platform for VAs. And I think it's a really exciting business. And they just have more people joining every single day because it's a problem people Google for answers for. They find this group and they want to discuss it. It's like a never-ending lead source for them. It's absolutely incredible. You can use Reddit, LinkedIn for these things as well. Here's the one that you're going to be most familiar with, which is the idea that you can just build a landing page and use ads to drive signups. I don't like this way of doing this because I think it misses your key opportunity, which is to get into deeper conversations with the people who sign up, to gather those data and to do research. And we're going to talk about our favorite way to do this with the waitlist that kills two birds with one stone and reduces your biggest risk with this startup launch. I had a frantic message from someone on Reddit last year when I was making posts on Reddit in the SaaS community there about how you launch products, how you get validation. They had done an advertising campaign to a landing page using Facebook ads, and they were building a product that did website analytics for Webflow, right? Helping people understand what was clicked, where did they go, how long did they spend, how long did they scroll, the kind of product, right? They got thousands of signups from their waitlist. They got a great result on Product Hunt. So they were driving traffic. People were excited about the product. And then they launched and they were like, cool, we've done the pre-sales, we've done the validation. There's going to be loads of people who use it. And people logged into the product with their free trial and they immediately logged back out and they didn't respond to any other emails. They never got them re-engaged. And the problem here is because your communication of what your product is so new at this stage, you still haven't found product market fit. You can communicate in advertising and a landing page in such a way that gives a misleading impression to those early adopters of what they're signing up for. So they think they're getting product X and you give them product Y instead. And so they log in, they realize they've misunderstood, and now they're no longer interested. And I don't like it because you've had to spend money on a ton of Facebook adverts when we could have just spent that money to do one-to-one qualitative research with your early adopters, which would be absolute rocket fuel for your innovation engine within your SaaS startup, okay? So these are your four options. Waitlists are absolutely our favorite. If you want to go the extra mile, the early adopter communities offer you ways to scale your early adopter community in such a compelling way, but it is more work, okay? So how do you find your first customers to do this? You've got to pick the low-hanging fruit. Your first customers for your SaaS product exist in your close network. It is not someone on the other side of the world that has never heard of you and doesn't have a know, like, and trust factor with you, which we'll dive into, right? Inside your network, if you are solving a problem that you have problem founder fit for, okay, a problem you've experienced, you have unique ability to solve, which is incredibly important in the world of SaaS, your first customers exist in your network because you know other people who also encounter that problem, okay? And the reason that we want to target your close network first and foremost for your first early adopters is because it gets more difficult to close someone the less know, like, and trust factor that they have with you. Okay? So down here on the bottom left of this graph, we have your friends, family, and colleagues who have high know, like, and trust factor, and therefore it is very easy to close them. And as we move out to the right of this graph, we get to people who are less and less certain of who you are. They don't know if you're going to keep your promise. They don't know if you can actually deliver on what you've told them that you're going to deliver. They don't know if you're going to take their email address and start spamming it with sales materials, etc. Okay, so it gets more and more difficult to close them. So how do we get these first customers? The key here is that we've just got to ask. I was on a mentoring call with a SaaS founder last night, which inspired the title of this slide. And we've been talking about a new product that she's going to launch in her startup for a number of weeks now. Everything is ready to go. We just need to make the offer. And she has so much resistance about just sending out the messages and offering, because she felt the copy wasn't done, the branding wasn't done, the landing page and website still needs to be done. There need to be more features and functionality added into this. And she wasn't confident that if she made the ask that people would actually say yes. And so that held her back, because she was scared of what would happen if I don't get a yes and I realize that this has been a terrible idea and waste of time. On the call, we got her to start sending out WhatsApps to her close connections, people that she talked to about this product before. We got her first customers on that call with a WhatsApp message to join the waitlist. Okay. Here's how you're going to do it. You are going to create a spreadsheet. We need a spreadsheet because we need to have a place to track how many people you've contacted, who you've contacted, and how many people you could possibly contact. Okay. And if you just make enough asks, you get your first customers. It is as simple as that. In every single case of startups that I work with in our traction plans, in our 90-day traction plans, where we get them their customers, we get them their traction, the thing that we do that really changes the game is we just get them to make asks and start making sales. Okay. So you're going to create a spreadsheet. Name whether you have reached out to them, yes or no, whether they responded, yes or no, and whether you followed up with the initial outreach if they didn't say, if they didn't respond. Okay. And you are just going to go down, put your phone to one side, put 2 hours on the clock, and you are just going to rack your brain, and you are going to put every single name of a person that you can get in contact with in any way, shape, or form. Okay. List out people, friends, family, colleagues, and you start there because they have the know, like, and trust factor, and then you expand outwards. Okay. You're going to then go into all of your socials. You're going to map out everyone who you have on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I don't care how you get their details. You go and get their details, right? If you have a number, you're going to WhatsApp them or text them or call them. If you have an email, you're going to send an email. If you just have a social profile on social media, you're going to DM them, okay? And if you just make enough asks, you are going to get early adopters in your waitlist, in your early adopter group, in your discussion group. It's going to happen. I guarantee you, okay? I know the resistance that you have right now. There's a fear in your stomach for a lot of you, which is, I don't think I can make the ask because what if they say no? If they say no, great, you get validation that this isn't something that you're going to easily be able to sell, and maybe you need to change your idea, and we've just saved you a lot of time, effort, and pain. Okay? Once you have that map, you're going to send a simple and direct ask. You're going to build the list first and foremost, and then you're going to send a message. Now, you're going to have to change this message up depending on how you know them, whether you're in the B2B or B2C space, and what platform you're reaching out on. Okay. I think this message, this is one that we use a lot with the founders that we work with here at Minimal Viable Launch. It works great in the B2B space. If I was in the B2C space, I would actually shorten this dramatically. And if you're doing it as a social media DM, it has to be way shorter. You have to hook their attention instantly. Okay. So here's the basic principles. I'm going to teach you the principle. You can then customize this template to your needs and some of the decisions we're going to talk about. And I would encourage you to try and delete as many words from this as you possibly can, but I'm going to give you some key ones to keep in. But this template absolutely works. We send this message out all of the time. We get responses. We get people on calls, we get our first early adopters, and then from there we look at larger ways that we can scale the waitlist, okay? So we just say, hi name, write their name, personalize it to them. I'm reaching out because we're building a new name of product. We're looking for people who have experienced using name of product, who encounter the key problem you solve. If this is a critical part for the success of your SaaS company. The problem you solve should be painful enough that when people see that written down, they get excited that someone is trying to solve and innovate around that problem in their space, okay? And if you get a meh reaction from the problem you're solving, it's probably a sign that you should dig a little bit deeper and try to solve a bigger problem. I would like to invite you to participate in our research because we feel that your expertise in area XYZ will help us significantly improve the product for others just like you. Now, this is the important critical piece of this invite. If you read Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, he goes into a study of people waiting in line for a photocopier. Someone joins the back of the queue and asks everyone in the line if they could cut in and go to the front with no reason given. The adherence to that favor was very, very low, as you might expect. Why would you let someone cut in front of you? They changed one variable in that experiment. They had the person join the back of the queue and say, can I cut in front of you because I am in a hurry? The adherence rate to that favor was well above 63%, okay? And because is the key word. We just need to give them a reason why you want to speak to them, why they should help you with this favor that you are asking them to do. It can be literally any reason, is what they found in that study. The because isn't important. It's just important that there is a clearly stated because. So make sure you think about why you're asking them here, okay? We asked them to jump on a 20-minute call. The reason that we keep it to 20 minutes, you might be thinking that's a short conversation for a piece of research. But in my hundreds and hundreds of conversations I have done in my career as a user researcher and UX designer, I know that if we're talking about a painful problem that they actually care about, they will stay on that call far longer than 20 minutes, but it's much easier to get someone to agree to a 20-minute call because in their mind, the risk feels low. It's not going to be hours of being sold to. It's 20 minutes. They can probably fit it in their day. It doesn't take up too much time. But I guarantee that if you are talking about a painful problem that they really want solving in their lives, they will stay on far longer than 20 minutes. And then we, in our work here at Minimal Viable Launch, we always buy Amazon vouchers to attach to this ask because we are interested in moving faster, getting our first customers faster so that you can build and launch this product. And the Amazon voucher does two things. It ups the level of response, the percentage of the response rate that you get from asks like this, and it ups the show up rate for people actually turning up to these calls when you book them. So depending on the persona that you have as your ideal customer profile, as your ideal customer persona for your startup, that Amazon voucher amount needs to be different. If you were, say, building a product for baristas who work part-time in a coffee shop, you can have a lower voucher Amazon amount because actually it's a big reward for them and they'll be excited about that. But let's say you've got a $15 Amazon voucher attached to this 20-minute conversation, but you're targeting CEOs of large multinational companies. Well, probably not going to move the needle, probably not going to get them interested in that in any way, shape, or form. And so you need to think about who you're asking, think about the value that they place on their time and match that Amazon amount with that, okay? And then just sign it off in any way, shape, or form that you like. Copy this template, customize it, try to shorten it. If you have any questions about it, ask below down in the comments. I'll try and help you refine yours. Happy to do that. Send these out. If you just send out 100 invites, 200 messages from your list, I guarantee you get your first 10 customers and probably many more, okay? This is all going to help you avoid the mistake that we talk about. This is why I love this methodology, right? We're using your wait list to have this conversation. We learn about the problem. And when they articulate the problem, you show them your slight vision of what you're going to solve. And you say, hey, look, we're actually launching this for people like you who suffer from this problem. Do you want to join the wait list? So we'll tell you about it when it's launching. And the reason I love it is people need to be 100% certain that they want to buy something to put their credit card information in and actually, make that commitment. But if you're just saying, hey, this is something you've been speaking about for the last 20 minutes with me that you've got very passionate about, we're building something new. Do you want to hear about it? They usually will. And if you've done the waitlist in Score app and you have all of these questions behind it, so you gather data about this early adopter as well, you're killing two birds in one stone. Because we talk about this all the time. 42% of your competition are going to build a product that no one wants, needs, or was willing to pay for, and will go out of business for that very reason. Well, you doing this research avoids this, because you're going to change your product idea as you have these conversations. You're going to know people are interested in it if they sign up for the waitlist or not. And they're going to give you data about how much they would pay, what they consider this product to be competing with, what budgets they have for it, how urgent this problem is. So you're going to have high conviction that you're actually on the right track. And if you don't get that, you're going to pivot your idea, which is much cheaper than pivoting your MVP. Okay. So I hope you've all learned a lot within this video. Please like and subscribe. Give us a comment down below. Let me know any problems that you have in building your early adopter communities, your wait list, or how you're going to go about building this list. I'm always happy to help. Jump into those comments, roll up my sleeves, and give you clarification on anything that you've got stuck on. Give us a subscribe if you like this content. We release a video every week to help founders just like you launch better SaaS products and be far more successful first time round. We'll see you next week.